This Marketplace podcast is brought to you by Colgate University. Now in its bicentennial year, Colgate University is celebrating a proud tradition of intellectual rigor at its beautiful campus in central New York. Learn more at colgate.edu.
Self-driving cars are racing self-driving regulation to the streets. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech, demystifying the digital economy. I'm Molly Wood. Earlier this week, Google's self-driving car spinoff Waymo launched a commercial self-driving taxi service in the Pheonix area. It's limited, but it is technically a public launch, not just testing. And this is actually a case where the tech moved faster than the laws. Proposed federal rules for regulating self-driving cars, called the AV Start Act, have been stuck in neutral for about a year. But this week, senators updated the language in the bill. They're even considering attaching it to the must-pass budget legislation that Congress will decide on before the end of the year. Ariane Marshall covers autonomous vehicles for Wired magazine. We called her for Quality Assurance, the segment where we take a deeper look at a big tech story. She told me the legislation is about trying to establish responsibility and liability for self-driving cars.
A big part of this legislation is trying to define what part of self-driving car regulation is going to be in the hands of the federal government, the Department of Transportation, and what part of it is in the hands of the states and cities that'll actually have these things on their roads.
But that's a bit controversial in itself, right? I mean, would this legislation supersede the state laws?
Yeah, it's definitely controversial. So the way it's been explained to me thus far is everything, the bumper to bumper car, that means the design and the performance of the vehicle, is all up to the federal government. And that's actually the way it works for normal cars now. They're making sure that your Toyota isn't going to kill you. And if they discover a defect, they're going to create a recall so that Toyota has to come in and fix that. What's left up to the states and the local municipalities are the traffic laws, licensing and registration, just like you and I have to go to the DMV. Autonomous vehicles might have to go to the DMV in certain states and get their license there. So that's the way it's kind of breaking down at this point. But this is just the start. This bill is not meant to be the final word on self-driving car regulation. They're just trying to kind of lay the groundwork as this technology develops.
So is there any sense then of what happens now? Is this bill likely to pass if it gets attached to the must-pass spending bill?
There are still definitely some particularly Democratic senator holdouts who really just don't like the way this bill is handling safety. They want a firmer federal oversight of self-driving car technology. So they're not going to vote for this bill. That said, if it does get attached to a bigger spending bill that has to pass so that the government doesn't shut down, it's going to be hard to justify not voting for it just based on this tiny little self-driving car part. I'd say most of the industry is really happy with this bill. I'm hearing a lot of optimism out of Washington, but it's definitely not a done deal yet.
And then this is sort of unrelated, but as we're, of course, about to talk to you, we saw that Lyft announced that it's going to IPO. Do you have a sense, based on your past coverage, how important autonomous cars are going to be to the future of companies like Lyft?
They think they're going to be really important. A company like Lyft and Uber could be so much more profitable if they didn't have to deal with those pesky human drivers that they spend so much time trying to recruit, trying to keep happy. So these companies think that self-driving cars are really important, and they're both pouring a lot of money into this big technological problem. It's a big open question when this technology will be ready to go out on roads in most cities, but it's something they're very interested in.
Ariane Marshall covers autonomous vehicles for Wired magazine. And now for some related links. More on Lyft for a second. That company has had a very different approach to self-driving cars than Uber, which has been trying to create its own technology in-house. Lyft partners with just about anybody, letting Ford, GM, and Waymo all test their self-driving cars on its network. And in March of this year, Lyft made a deal with Magna International to create driverless tech. There's a good story on all this from March in the New York Times. I put that link on our website, marketplacetech.org. But now that Lyft has beaten Uber to the IPO starting line, I can't stop with the puns, expect a lot of discussion of the differences in the two companies and how they approach the self-driving market. Both of them believe that driverless cars are the key to their future business, but Lyft's approach might just be cheaper and faster in the long run. That said, Waymo's new commercial service will compete directly with both Uber and Lyft, so success is far from assured. And just an update from the world of Fortnite. We talked back in October about how Fortnite has borrowed liberally from artists and rappers in creating its popular emotes, those little dances that players can buy for $5 a piece. We interviewed a lawyer and a former dancer who walked us through what it takes to actually copyright a dance move. She told us it could be a high bar to clear, but lawyers for the rapper 2 Milli are going to try to jump that bar. He sued the makers of Fortnite on Wednesday. He alleges Epic Games took his Milli Rock dance and renamed it Swipe It in Fortnite. There's a link to the story about the lawsuit and our interview on Marketplace Tech on the website too. I'm Molly Wood, and this is Marketplace Tech. This is APM. Listeners like you who give to Marketplace do more than just keep us on the air. You help us grow and get better. It's a way to directly support independent reporting and journalism you trust, and to make it possible for us to tell the stories of modern life through our digital economy. And when you give today, the impact of your gift will be doubled thanks to our friends at Candida. Donate now at marketplace.org to make your donation go twice as far. And thank you.